All right. I know you've probably seen number patterns somewhere in your life, whether it be on clocks or all of a sudden you have these number patterns in your entire day where your checkout receipt is 333 and your airplane seat is 33C. And all of a sudden you see 33 on all the license plates. Or maybe you're seeing 111, 1111, 444. Well, we're going to talk about what that is in this episode, so stay tuned. Welcome to Spiritual and Ambitious. I'm your host, Whitney McNeill. I'm a certified medium and spiritual teacher, and I help spiritual and ambitious souls just like you live your life purpose through your career and attract abundance by connecting into your intuition and spirit guides. Let's get spiritual and ambitious. Before we get started today, if you haven't reviewed the podcast, I would love to see your 5-star review come in, and you can review our podcast wherever you're listening. And we also have a podcast review giveaway. I will link to it in the show notes. I absolutely love seeing your comments, and I love to give you a shout out here on the episode. So today we're talking about number patterns, and some people refer to them as angel numbers. Why do some people call them angel numbers? Well, it's like a sign from your spirit guide team where some people feel more comfortable saying angels, and so therefore angel numbers. The way that I talk about spirit numbers, that's what I call them, is that they are signs from your spiritual team, and sometimes they are signs from your loved ones in spirit too. I recorded an episode about signs that your spirit guides and your loved ones are trying to get in touch with you earlier, and I'll link to that in the show notes. But today's episode is really about number patterns in general. With number patterns, everyone has their own pattern that they'll see. And sometimes this pattern lasts with somebody through their entire life, but more often the number patterns kind of rotate and change throughout your life, where some number patterns have different meanings. I have a very good friend that just sent me a voice text the other day, and she said, "Oh my gosh, I'm seeing 33 everywhere. I'm getting my receipt for my food and it's 333 on the order number. My seat in the plane was 33. My seat got changed coming back from my trip and it was 33. I looked at my phone and it was 333. The gas mileage in my car was 3333. So you can kind of see how things can pop up in your life. We see number patterns in different areas of our life. We can see them on license plates when we are driving. A lot of times, though, the most common is when we do look down at the phone and it's 1111 or it's 444, it's 333. Or maybe you don't have a sequential number pattern. Maybe your number pattern is like 743 or 729 or 654. Whatever that is for you, if you're seeing this recurring number pattern over and over, well, this is a sign that your spirit guides and or loved ones in spirit are sending you a nice little hello. And we can get really tripped up on, what do these number patterns mean? I don't understand. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. But first, let's talk about why you're seeing the number patterns. And is it something that you're making up or not? Well, if you are looking for number patterns and everything, then yeah, you're just going to be making it up. If you are waiting for the clock to turn 11:11 or waiting to see something, then absolutely. Like if you're looking for it, right? And so when I teach my students in four intuitive languages, I talk about don't look for the answer. Even when we are trying to get messages from our intuition, sometimes we try to look for the answer. Like, where is my clairvoyant message or clairsentient message? That's not really how this works. This is like receiving a phone call from your friend and you weren't really expecting it. And let's say that your friend has a specific ringtone on your phone. Well, then you might be familiar with that vibration when your friend calls. You might start to kind of pick up when your friend's getting ready to call because you think about your friend, but it's still unexpected. Now, if you talk to that friend every day, it's expected that the friend will call, but you don't know what time the friend's calling. Think of it that way. When you start recognizing your number patterns, oh, I see 1111 all the time, treat it as, well, I kind of expect that I'll see it, but I just don't know when it will happen. I'm not going to look for it. I just know that my spirit guides will make it known when I'm supposed to see it. Same as a phone call. You don't know what time your friend's calling, but you know, as soon as they call, you hear the ringtone. It's like, oh, I know it's my friend. So that's a way of how you can perceive your number patterns. They can show up in so many different ways, shapes, and forms. And it's always a delight when you do see them. It's like, oh, how cool was that? So sometimes the logic kicks in and people want to think, well, wait a minute, maybe I made that happen or I'm looking for it. Well, what happens really is that your spirit guides inspire you to look at the clock. Now, again, I'm not talking about this, oh my gosh, it's 11:11, let me look at the clock. It's more of a, I didn't even know I was looking at the clock. I just glanced down because I needed to tie my shoe and I happened to see on my watch that it was 222 or 555 or whatever your number pattern was. So your spirit guides kind of inspire you with these little nudges, these little moments that you don't even think are intuitive. You're just looking up at the milepost on the road and there is 413 or whatever your number pattern is. So treat your number patterns like they are wonderful little delights to surprise and delight you, but don't get in this hunt of I'm going to find the number because then that really takes away the communication. It's a beautiful thing when you see numbers because it's like this wonderful little magic that's happening in your life. And it's so easy. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy that they're there. So, why do your spirit guides send number patterns to you? Well, one way is that they are sending them because they just want you to know that they're there. Sometimes they send you number patterns over and over because it's like, hey, you haven't talked to us. Hey, want you to talk to us. Hey, time to learn how to communicate with us. You haven't actually had your meeting with us. We need to communicate something. And other times it's this nice little, hey, we're around you. We just want you to know that you're supported. Sometimes we just feel like we're blocking the message or we're just too nervous or anxious to get the message. Or maybe you are receiving messages and talking to your spirit guides every day, like I teach in my free spirit guide masterclass. And it's just a nice little wink of, hey, we're around you, we're here, we're supporting you. If you have talked to your spirit guides out loud or in your mind with your intention of saying, hey, I'd really like to know of your presence more. I'd really like to know that you're there. Well, this is one of the ways that they can show you that they're around you without intruding in your daily life, without giving you a bunch of spirit messages while you're driving, because you don't really need to be getting them while you're driving. You need to be focusing on the road. But they're like, here's an 1111 right in front of you on this license plate or on this billboard. So it's nice little nods and winks. But I get this next question a whole lot. And the next question is, why do they change? And what do number patterns actually mean? All right, I will tell you when we come back after this quick break. This episode is sponsored by my free Spirit Guide Masterclass. Inside, you'll learn the 5 C's of Spirit Guide communication, your role with your Spirit Guides, 2 proven effective strategies to stop second guessing yourself and your intuition, and the single most important step to understand your intuitive guidance, along with 4 ways to perceive your spiritual intuitive messages. You'll also be getting a workbook to go through this class as well. You can join at messengerofspirit.com/free class. Thanks for hanging in there with me. I know that you are interested in communicating with your spirit guides. So if you've not taken my free spirit guide masterclass, you want to make sure you do that. And there is a link to it in the show notes so that you don't have to rely on all of your number patterns. One thing I haven't done today is pull some cards. So before we get into the number patterns, because this is going to tie in really nicely, I just pulled two cards. The first card is a card of abundance. Abundance is here. The universe is so very generous. And I love that because when you do see these number patterns, it's a reminder of saying, hey, we're here. We're abundant. You're abundant. We're always working in your favor, especially with the dark night of the soul or those times in our lives where we feel like hope is gone, where we feel like, oh my gosh, my spirit guides aren't here. Did they take a vacation? Oh my goodness. It's like, hey, we're here. And when you do see these number patterns, I do hope that you feel that abundant energy that your spirit guides are giving you. But what's really interesting is the next card I pulled is receive. So if you've got my Messenger of Spirit Oracle deck, then you're familiar with this card. And this card comes with 44. Yes, this is a number pattern. So abundance is yours. Allow yourself to receive. I myself was receiving 44, 444 in a period of my life. Right now, I tend to see a mix of a couple different number patterns, but 33 tends to be a more common one. And I do see in different times of my life 1111, 222, 555, 777, 999, all the different things. So, what do those number patterns actually mean? Well, I always tell my students in Forward Intuitive Languages you have to talk to your spirit guides to know the true meaning of the numbers. Because I know that you're interested in developing your intuition and talking to your spirit guides, the first advice I'm going to tell you is to ask your spirit guides the meaning of the number pattern when you are in your spirit guide meetings. And if you don't know how to do a spirit guide meeting, then I tell you more about that in my free spirit guide masterclass. Again, what are you waiting for if you haven't taken it? So, your guides will definitely give you the answers. You know, we are designed to kind of want to know more. We want to know the path. Okay, A plus B equals C. We want to know where we're going and what something actually means. Who doesn't, right? However, you are going to have a special relationship with your guides and they're going to tell you the exact answers. But I'm going to give you some helpful tips as far as guidelines about what these number patterns can mean for you. So, first and foremost, if you already have your meaning from your spirit guides, then that's what it means. But if you don't, you can check out a couple different other, let's say, guidelines. Numerology can be one. If you are into numerology, then you might start to notice that numbers can have different meanings. So for me, I've always been interested in numerology. And so numbers definitely do have meaning for me. When I look at specific number patterns, sometimes it just pops into my head from my spirit guides, or I look at the number and I immediately have a meaning attached to it. Now, if you're not somebody that even knows the first thing about numerology, I do recommend someone for numerology, and I'll put it in the show notes. And she's got some great free resources for it. But for one, the number one can mean starting something new, planting seeds, and also reminds me to pay attention to my thoughts. If I see 1111, so two ones or just an 11, it can, for me, mean balance. It can mean higher ascension, and it can also mean balance your thoughts. It can also mean you're raising your vibration to a new level. If I look at a two, twos generally for me will mean relationship and creativity. So if I see 22, 222, this to me usually means, hey, your seeds that you've been planting are growing. Again, pay attention to your thoughts, but we're creating things for you. And this can also mean great partnership. Now, partnership can be, depending on what I was thinking at the time when I saw it, relationship with someone in business, personal life. It can be my relationship with myself or my spirit guides. Now, if I see 333, usually for me, this can mean the energy is intense. It can also mean the ascended masters are near, a higher vibration of energy is near. This can also mean writing and really allowing yourself to focus on the outcome, because a lot of times when I say 333, I might be in this place of a couple different possibilities instead of just one. So it's a nice reminder of, hey, we know it's intense right now, but we've got you. When I see 444, it's this beautiful heart energy of love. Hey, we've got you, love and support. We're here and I appreciate you and you're good. Hey, we're helping you build a firm foundation of energy. 555 means big change to me. So when I was actually changing my entire life, where I was quitting my job working for somebody else and starting my own business, getting a divorce, moving, and completely uprooting my life. But I knew I wanted to do this. I even changed my passwords to something 555 because that meant big change. I'm with it. I'm riding this wave of big change. So 555 usually means change is happening for me. 666. Okay, I know what you're thinking. If you're somebody that studied the Bible, you might think, oh my gosh, that's like, the mark of the beast. That's awful. That does not mean any of that to me. 666 can be, hey, it's time to focus on your personal life. And there's some balancing of karma that might need to be happening as well. So, six to me can mean personal life, personal convictions, your interests, your value, like go within, stop thinking about business so much. It's time to kind of move into the heart and also see perhaps a different perspective. This can also be this karma where, hey, we need to balance some karma right now. Like that's what you're going through. Now, I actually don't see this number pattern. It's never been one of the number patterns that I see. And I don't think a whole lot of people see it either, but maybe I'm wrong. And maybe you're like, no, I've seen it. One of the reasons is because you don't see that number pattern on phones, like times of your phone. And that can be a reason why. However, this next number pattern of 777, even though that doesn't exist in a time either, like I'm not going to look at my phone and see 777, like that's the time. I see it a lot. I see it on bumper stickers. I'll see it on license plates. I will see it on road signs. So 777 to me, or just 77, means spirit, spiritual, divine timing, let go. We've completely got you. It's not maybe something on your timeline, but it is on our timeline. And this is our support system for you. So I kind of like, oh, I'm along for the ride. Spirit's got me. And it also feels like a really powerful energy to me as well. And then 888, 999. So 888 can be a real number where it's like, I'm harvesting my energy. All the seeds that you've planted are coming to fruition. We've got you. And this can be a very, very positive number. And a 999 for me can be completion. We have fully manifested those things that you've planted in your seeds, and things are ending now, moving into a new vibration cycle, completion, and we are good. So, that to me is really more of the meanings that come in. However, if you are interested in numerology, you might end up adding the numbers together. So, for instance, if I saw 77, 77, 7 plus 7 is 14, 1 plus 4 is 5, that can also have this energy of big change to me. So, when you see a number pattern, you want to take a minute and just tune in. What does this mean? And then see what you're drawn to do. Maybe you want to add them up. Maybe you want to just see all the numbers together. And it's really based on you. So, why I bring up numerology is because it might give you some familiarity with meanings of numbers, but also I'm not really following the true numerology system here. I'm just using my intuition with what it means for me. So a numerologist might say, well, add the numbers up. I don't usually do that if I see a profound number where I'm like, nope, even though I'm seeing four fives, I know that it's just illuminating the energy of five for me versus maybe somebody else tells you to add them up. Just really tune into your intuition with what that specifically means. But I hope I did give you some guidelines. A lot of times we want to go to Google. However, really, intuition is our number one asset. So please do not forget that. Like I said, I'll drop a resource below for a numerologist that I recommend. Now, another reason they might be sending you this number pattern, especially when it comes to loved ones in spirit. So, loved ones who have passed, sometimes they will send the numbers of the day that they passed or their birthday or your birthday. And that's just a little nod of, hey, I'm here. I see you. Just want to say hi. Sometimes we get really caught up in, oh my gosh, I'm seeing the number pattern of like 818. Does that mean it's August 18th and something is going to happen to me on August 18th? So, one, when you see number patterns like this, it's not negative. It is going to be positive. They're going to be telling you positive things. So, if you saw 818, take a moment, tune in. Do you feel like this is a date they're trying to communicate to you, or do you feel it's the energy of 818? And see what that is. So if I saw 818 over and over, I might say to myself, all right, let's just take a moment here. 8 plus 8 is 16, which adds up to 7 plus 1 is 8. Hey, I think that they're just showing me an 8. That's probably where I'd go with it, but I use my intuition. But I do want to talk about another number pattern because I'm seeing it currently as I'm recording, and I see this a lot. 911. Oh my gosh. So I'm sure if you have seen 911, you've probably been freaking out like, oh my gosh, there's an emergency. Like, are my spirit guides trying to communicate something to me to just shut up and talk to them? Or something bad happened to somebody I love? Like, what is going on? And really, for me, it's a message of, we've got you. We're good. We're here. And it definitely got my attention because it's 9/11. So of course I was like, why am I seeing this? What's going on? Is this somebody in spirit that passed away in 9/11 or, what's going on? And it's really just my spirit guide saying, hey, we've got you. We're here. You're good. Now, 9 plus 1 is 10 plus 1 is 11. And for me, it's this master 11 number. Now, some people might add it up to a 2. For me, I just leave it at 11. And I'm saying, all right, I've got you. I understand. I need to balance, 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 balance. So that's an important number, but it always gets my attention. And that's one of my personal number patterns that are not necessarily traditional in a 222 333 kind of world. All right. So if you are someone that is like, I want to learn more, tell me how to do this, then take my free spirit guide masterclass over at messengerspirit.com/free class. And I will be back with a brand new episode next week. Don't forget to check the show notes for some great links and resources for you. But until next week, I hope that you stay spiritual and ambitious. Thanks so much for listening to this episode. And if you loved it, would you please share it with a friend? I would also love your review and a reminder to subscribe so you never miss an episode. You can find me at messengerspirit.com, and you can take the 4 Intuitive Languages quiz and find show notes there too. If you want to connect on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, you can find me at Messenger of Spirit. I'll meet you right here next week. Here's to staying spiritual and ambitious.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM. Women's voices amplified.